No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
And happy Monday. This is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor. And yes, again, it's Monday. Thank God this Friday was so fast. Saturday went zooming by. Sunday went zooming by. And now we're back to Monday, the beginning of the week. Have you noticed how fast weekends go now? Even the months. I mean, it's just, think of it. We just finished Christmas and New Year's. And now all of a sudden, we're almost to June, the middle of the year. Time has gone by so quickly, so fast. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or time is just zooming by. It's probably both. What can I say? Over the weekend, I had a friend call me. And I like this friend because he's very self-independent. He's very self-sufficient. He came over from China, didn't have a single dime, didn't have anything. And he started doing his work, and then he started investing into real estate until he had a lot of property. And over the years, he's done very well at managing the properties, at buying at a good rate and then turning them around. But he's made a tremendous amount of money, and I'm very proud of him for that. He has a son, and he was divorced from his wife, but he has a son, and he has a really good relationship with this son. Now, as I said, my friend is very successful, and his cash flow is very good, and he's sitting on a good amount of money that he can do pretty much anything the rest of his life and live very comfortably. And his call to me was serious because he was concerned. Now, I do a lot of premarital mediation on financial issues. That's where I sit down with the individuals prior to them getting married, and we go over the debt. Because a lot of people walk into marriage with a lot of debt and they're surprised because remember, when you get married, you take on that debt. You take on the financial world of the other partner. So, his son, very good entrepreneur himself, moved from Seattle to Florida and bought a really nice home, beautiful home. Father helped him a little bit, not much, but helped him. And now that home, I think he purchased it for about $700,000, and now it's worth over $1.2 million. So it's a good investment. In the meantime, he got married, and they're going to have a child. Now the problem is, somehow along the way, the house was in the son's name. But somewhere along the way, the son signed over that house to his wife. Now, I always suggest that if you are financially solvent and secure and upward mobile, that anytime you marry, you have a prenup available. And that they understand before they get married exactly what's going to happen in that marriage, what's going to be the boundaries on the finances, and who owns what. But he didn't do that. He got married, got pregnant, and all of a sudden, the title of the house was turned over into the wife's name. Now, a lot of us, when we fall in love, we fall in love. And when that person says winky winky and battering of the eyelashes, sometimes mistakes are made. Because they say, I love this woman so much, I love this man so much, and then all of a sudden, things are being done that sets off red flags. Now, see, if you knew what those red flags were going to be at the very beginning, when you sat down with me, we could go through what's going to happen. who owns what prior to marriage and who owns what during the marriage, and what the accounting and tax situation is going to be. You go through everything. And how to pay off debt, especially. Can you imagine marrying somebody who has a $50,000 loan on education? So we need to know what those financial restrictions are going to be at the very beginning before you say I do, not after you say I do, and not after you get swindled by the batting of the eyes. And listen, sometimes people get swindled. Because there are certain people out there that smell money. There are certain people out there that know what they can get their hands on. I've seen it so often, so many times. So what was the suggestion that I gave him? My friend, not his son. So I said, sit down with him. Sit down with only your son. And ask the question, just out of curiosity, why did you transfer the home name over into your wife's name? And why is it not jointly? Why? Sit back, listen to the answer. And then you can give him a piece of advice, but make it short. 25 words or less. And then leave it at that. Because at that point in time, you've done your duty as a dad of giving him some advice. But the son has grown up. The son is now 30. He's making decisions on his own. So now he has to live with the decision or make the change so that it goes back into both names. Or back into his name. But sit there and listen. Because the most important thing that you can do is listen. Let him explain himself. Keep it short. Give your response. But keep that short also. And then when you get up, because you're not going to resolve anything at all in that first meeting. You may take a couple or 3 meetings before you are able to resolve anything. Get up and understand that you as a father have done your duty and that you now have to walk away and continue on the relationship with the son and the new daughter-in-law and the new baby that's on its way, with the understanding that the son has made that decision, that choice on his own. Because now he's an adult. Now he is a big boy. And he has to live with any decision that he makes. Now he's not going to make good decisions. And he's not going to, but he will make some good decisions. But he may make some bad decisions. I always say to people, if I ever hear the word, I made a mistake, no. It's not a mistake. You made a decision. You sat down and you said, okay, I'm going to transfer the home into her name, losing all my rights to this house. This is a tricky situation to be a dad and a mom, isn't it? Now the mom wants to get in there and she wants to dig in and find out what's going on and how come this happened and what that happened. But that discussion is her discussion with that son, not the father. Because the father talks to the ex-wife is going to use that father's name and say, well, your dad says, and then all of a sudden you're the bad guy. So you have to let the mom have their own discussion with that child, and you as the father, the ex-husband, have your discussion. But you never discuss that you've talked it over with your mom or aunt and uncle or whoever you discussed it with. You have to sit down and you have to realize that your son is a grown-ass man now and he has to take responsibilities over the decisions that he made. He may lose the whole house. You see, I believe in marriage, and I think marriage is a wonderful institution. But sometimes marriage does not last in this world of ours. So we always have to prepare for the worst. I know it sounds harsh, I know it sounds selfish, and I know all that stuff. But in this world, you have to be prepared. You have to sit down and discuss your finances before you say, I do. You have to talk about the assets that you will own and she will own. You have to talk about debt and how you are going to satisfy that debt. Who's going to be responsible for it? If you both have incomes, what portion of that income is going to go to pay off that personal debt that you made before you said, I do? A lot of different rules that you have to put into place on how to manage your finances going forward. Now, the other issue is, as an example, let's say this individual, this girl, this wife, this new wife, decides to leave him. So that house is no longer his, but it's hers. So what happens to the child? When she passes away, where does that house go to? Does it go to other family members? Or does it go to the son or the new baby? Because we don't know what the baby is yet. She's still pregnant. But there are a lot of questions that you have to sit down and talk about. Because death do us part. Death is going to come sometime. And you've got to have the proper written mechanics in place to protect that child and to protect the wife if they continue to be married. And what happens with the trust of the grandfather? How does that get separated out? See, there's a lot of questions that you have to ask before you get married. There's a lot of conversations that have to be had because there are decisions that have to be made based on that conversation. I love it when clients call me and we get into these things because I'm the third party. I'm the third wheel. And I'm the one that can bring up all the questions that need to be asked. And I can also guide them in their approach, and I can also guide them in how they have to act as a parent. Because it's very difficult when you're a parent to back away from your child and not offer him any further advice unless he asks for it. It's an amazing thing this life is, right? When you have children and when you have an estate that's sizable and when you have houses that you own and you may have businesses that you own. That's the other question. If you have a business and if you are married, what is the succession of who's going to take care of that business if you should pass away? So it's good to have that conversation at the very beginning. If you've got assets, if you've got money, it's very important to have that discussion with a mediator to go through all of the issues. Especially myself, since I'm an accountant and tax guy myself, I can answer a lot of those questions as you would deal with taxation. But it's very important to have these discussions prior to saying, I do. Just think about it. That was a good conversation to have with a friend. I love my friends, and I love to help them out in any which way I can. Sometimes they don't like my responses, but most of the time they do. Listen, if you would like to send me a business question, send it to thebusinessadvisor@gmail.com. And if you would like to sit down with me for some coaching or for some business advice, you can go online at my website at www.lodge.co.com and you can book a time with me online. So it's Monday, you guys. Let's go out there and face the world, face the day. Let's rise and shine. Love you guys. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye.